Hello to you and welcome to Adelante Chicago. I'm Lourdes Duarte. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bienvenidos. Mayor Brandon Johnson is hearing a lot from advisors about who should run the Chicago Police Department. Some have said that choosing the next superintendent might be the most important decision he will make as mayor. A decision that he may not have to make alone. For the first time in the city's history, a group of civilians led the nationwide search for the top cop. Here to tell us a little bit more about how they narrowed down the list of 13 candidates to just 3 is Commissioner Oswaldo Gomez. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Hello to you.
Hi, Lourdes. It's a pleasure being here with you, and I hope everyone is having a great day.
Okay, let's try to talk a little bit about this and explain to folks what's been going on. Obviously, for the last few months, Superintendent Fred Waller, or interim superintendent, has sort of led the Chicago Police Department. In the meantime, your commission has been looking for a permanent police superintendent. Where are we in that process right now?
That's right. We're coming to almost an end to the process. We're getting pretty close to the conclusion of the search for the final superintendent. We, my commission, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, was in charge, as you mentioned, of conducting the nationwide search. And we've actually narrowed it down now to 3 final candidates. Those candidates have now been presented to Mayor Johnson. They were presented on the 14th of this month. And he has now 30 days since the 14th to decide between these 3 candidates that you'll see: Sean Barnes, Angel Novales, and Larry Snelling. We think these are exemplary characters. They really embody what a great leader, great leaders, and will be an exemplary path forward for the city of Chicago. So we're really excited about this, and we hope that the mayor will make a selection soon.
Okay, yeah, so we could find out here in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close, and we're really excited. There's a possibility, although very slim, that the mayor might request for the process to start over, but we are really anticipating that this process will come to an end in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so let's talk about these 3 candidates and what they may bring to the table. I'll let you get started. You know, one that we know here on Adelante is Mr. Novales. We actually featured him as part of a story for Hispanic Heritage Month. Let's start with him. Latino, has been very involved with the community. What else do we know about him?
Well, we know that he has had a heroic career in the department, in the Chicago Police Department. We know that he's been one of the folks that has been the most involved in getting the department closer to coming into compliance with the federal consent decree, that lawsuit that Chicago has now come to an agreement on the need to bring about police reform. So he's been a key player in that part of the department. He's done a great job at making sure that the community is a part of that process, and we're really excited to have him as one of the finalists. He brings a depth of knowledge, both knowledge from the department side, but also about the way policing looks like in Chicago and in the rest of the nation.
Okay, who else is on that list?
Another great candidate from the city of Chicago is Mr. Larry Snelling. He has a lot of experience as well, many years and decades really working in the Chicago Police Department. He has done everything from being a part of the training that a lot of the officers have undergone in the police academy to now being the leader of the bureau that oversees counterterrorism and everything from airport security to some of the really impactful security efforts that the city of Chicago has.
And then last on
So
the
he's
list?
someone that comes with a lot of, he's someone that comes with a lot of support also from the community, having been very involved with the Southside community that he was a commander of.
All right, and then last on the list is Mr. Barnes. What do we know about him?
He's a one candidate that doesn't come from inside of the police department. He is actually the chief of police of Madison, Wisconsin. And we understand that Madison and Chicago are very different cities that face very different challenges. But really, we think he's one of the top candidates in our search because he has just a breadth of knowledge and has such a good perspective on what policing should look like in today's complicated world. So he's someone that really sees himself as a leader and as an intellectual, has great record, great references, and we think he's one of the best people, and that's one of the reasons why he's in the final top 3 of our list.
Yeah, they all sound like remarkable leaders. We'll see where we end up here in the next few weeks. I do want to ask you about the community involvement and input into picking the next superintendent. You've been out in the community. You've been talking to folks. What are you hearing from, for example, the Latino community as to what they would like to see in a superintendent and how the police department can play a bigger role in keeping their community safe?
We definitely heard a lot from community members, as you mentioned, Lourdes. And we heard about the necessity for having a leader that can inspire both the community members and the ranks of the police. We've heard about the necessity to have someone that understands the complex issues that are facing Chicago. We know that we have a city that is facing significant levels of crime, of violence, but also a city that really is undergoing an internal and exterior process for reforming itself and bridging the gap between the police and the community members.
Yeah.
We think that we have found three candidates that really stand up to this challenge and are likely to go ahead and deliver those. We also know from the community members that there are still issues with the way that officers interact with the community, especially with the diverse variety of languages that we have. There's still a gap that needs to be filled between how community members and police communicate, as well as just in general. We have a plethora of things happening in the city of Chicago, like the crisis of people that are being housed in our police departments. And so we really think this is a moment for leadership, a moment for a change, and a moment where the community actually saw itself as a participant in the process of selection. So we know that there's going to be a lot of legitimacy that's going to come from that. And we think that that ultimately will result in safer streets.
Yeah, it will require a lot of bridge building, that's for sure. We've got a few weeks left before the mayor perhaps chooses his next superintendent. What can people who may be watching at home do in the next few weeks if they want their voices and their opinions on who the next superintendent should be to be heard? What do you suggest they do?
Well, I think this is a decision now that is really up to the mayor. So communicating with the mayor, communicating even perhaps with our aldermen is probably the most immediate way of being participants in that final decision making. I really hope that the people of Chicago know that this public safety apparatus that we've built really encourages people to be participants, not just through the process of selecting the superintendent, but for future big questions that we have lined up. We're making decisions about policy. And for the first time in the city of Chicago, the body that I am a part of, the Community Commission, actually wants to hear from community members and wants to make sure that you are all participants in the process of us reviewing and drafting policies. We know too that we can't do all of this effort on our own. So we have a couple ways in which we engage the community. One of them is by actually having people involved in these district councils. Every police district, has elected now 3 district councils that are going to be key in building relationships and in furthering the work of the police and of the public safety apparatus that we have. But the Community Commission that I'm a part of also wants to hear your input. And we even have sub-bodies that help us understand the issues facing the community. One of them is a non-citizen advisory council. And we're always looking for new people that can bring in that perspective of our newcomer and immigrant communities in the city of Chicago. So if you want to be a part of that, you can find more information in our website of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. And we hope that the community will get behind this effort so that we can all be participants in making our city a better, safer place.
All right, and this idea of having the community help pick the superintendent is sort of one piece in what will be a larger project to come here in the coming months and, of course, years in the city of Chicago. We appreciate your time, Osvaldo.
Thank you so much, Liz. Happy to be here.
Good luck to you. We'll talk again soon.